Imagine moving into a university hall. You are ready to embark on this new chapter of your life. You're excited to meet your roommates, create friends, and everlasting memories. The only issue is, when you move in, one of your roommates is faking dissociative identity disorder. And it all turned out to be a lie. Today we are going to be exploring two stories in which we explore the psychological dynamics of this phenomenon. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment below, and let's get into the video. Last year, I went into a hall of residence in uni. None of us knew each other at the start, and we all had a shared bathroom, kitchen, and lounge, but had private bedrooms. The DID faker told us all she had DID within a few minutes of getting to know each other. We all just said, okay, sure. From there, it went downhill quickly. Week 1, we were introduced to her cat alter and mouse alter who were mute when they were fronting. And then we were introduced to her dragon alter. We didn't entertain it and just ignored it as best we could. Month 1, we were introduced to her demon alter, who came out when she was mad and threatened to kill us. She brought knives into her room and locked the door, which was concerning AF. When we said we would call a crisis line, she miraculously switched out of the demon altar. Month 3, the littles were introduced. They were so irritating, and she would put on awful voices for them and would lay on the communal sofa with a pacifier watching Bluey on our TV. She would ask us to be her mommy and care for her. Throughout this whole time, she was making TikToks on her DID account, showcasing her alters and doing system videos. Eventually, she decided she needed a wheelchair. No physical disability, due to having a disabled alter who had paralyzed legs. The wheelchair was a pain in our small apartment, and she would frequently ask us to take her to the park and push her around. I always refused, but some of my roommates would do this for her. After 6 months of this, I'd had enough and moved into a private let for the remainder of the year. The faker has been posted a few times on this sub already, and their posts are extremely cringy. If you don't know, dissociative identity disorder is a complex and serious mental illness. It is characterized by the presence of 2 or more personality states, each with its own way of perceiving and interacting with the world. These alters appear out of a response from your brain in extreme childhood trauma. The impact of living with dissociative identity disorder cannot be understated. You might experience frequent gaps in memory, identity confusion, and distressing symptoms such as flashbacks, nightmares, and mood disturbances. And when you have people who decide to fake this disorder, it can perpetuate harmful stereotypes. Obviously, approaching a situation in which someone genuinely has DID and when they're faking it is like a black and white situation. However, there were symptoms this person had unrelated to DID, like going into another room with a that is extremely concerning for their mental and physical well-being. And on the roommate side, claiming mental illness is not an excuse to threaten someone with a For the roommates, I cannot imagine how difficult it would be to, be going to classes, and then you would have to fear for this person's safety along with deal with their symptoms. Obviously, if you do have DID, it's a completely different approach, but I can imagine it's very frustrating when the person is faking. Because when you have DID, oftentimes in the early stages of healing, you can't control whether these alters are present. And obviously you can see that this person was on the internet, which can amplify misinformation very well. Online, there can sometimes be a normalization of inauthentic behavior. This impacts the viewer's perception because a lot of people might even convince themselves that they have it. And if you think about it, it's a little sad to think that this person's way of getting attention and validation is through faking. So obviously maybe they weren't getting it before. Maybe faking DID could serve as a coping mechanism for dealing with personal issues or past traumas, allowing for the individual to escape from reality or garner sympathy from others. Or, on a less empathetic note, it could just be a way of exploring fantasy. This person can adopt different identities as self-expression and self-exploration, but is an obviously very maladaptive coping skill, and as you can see, it is affecting the lives of them and the people around them. I think it's possible that the OP was experiencing something called plural ignorance. This is where individuals might go along with a perceived norm even if they privately doubt its validity. As the situation escalates, the roommate might become more erratic and disruptive because they're not really getting getting a response or the one that they wanted. Plural ignorance is a bad thing when a person genuinely does have DID, but in this circumstance, I don't really know how I would have approached this situation. I mean, the roommate faking a disorder is not OP's problem, so it's not really their responsibility to call them out on it. What do you think about the way that OP responded to this? I honestly think that they did a good job. You know, they let the person fake, and then, you know, when they were genuinely could be in danger, they did say, like, we want to call someone to help you. Maybe if they were closer, I could understand how they would want to set up like an intervention or something, but this person's going to college. They have their own responsibilities. Okay, so my friend went from saying they have Tourette's. I tried to explain to them that this is probably anxiety tics, and they said they understood that, but they would still tell anyone who would believe them that they have Tourette's. And now they don't do nearly as much ticking as they used to, and now says they have DID, which doesn't seem possible if they thought they had Tourette's. How do I explain to them that their lifetime of disorders makes absolutely no sense, and they can't expect people to believe they have DID if you changed from suspect you have Tourette's to suspect you have DID? They were just following the trend of disorders. I want to know how to word it properly that they had no sense other than following a trend. I just don't know about either disorder to make an argument. Any help would be appreciated. Switching from saying that you have one disorder that happens to be trendy and then just abandoning that and going to another one might, you know, come off as a little sus. Tourette's syndrome and DID are very, very different in their symptomatology. Tourette's is characterized by involuntary motor tics, while DID is the presence of two or more personalities. Transitioning from claiming one disorder to another without a logical progression or consistent symptoms raises questions about the authenticity of the diagnosis. And for some people, when you are diagnosed with DID or Tourette's, it can take time to come to terms with this diagnosis within yourself. Transitioning from claiming one disorder to another without a clear understanding of either disorder's symptoms, causes, or implications might suggest a lack of experience with the condition. So in this case, you might be able to see how this person was influenced by societal norms on social media about glamorizing and sensationalizing disorders. This trend-following behavior can lead individuals to adopt self-diagnosis based on perceived popularity or attention-seeking motives rather than genuine experiences of mental health conditions. I saw on Reddit that anxiety tics are not a thing, and after doing research, I do believe it is a thing, but it doesn't like manifest the exact way that Tourette's does. Anxiety tics are often classified as a subtype of tic disorders, which are characterized by sudden, repetitive, non-rhythmic movements or sounds. From what I can see, anxiety tics might be a little more simple than Tourette's tics. They may involve only one or a few repetitive movements or vocalizations. It is important to note that anxiety tics are distinct from tics associated with neurological disorders like Tourette's syndrome. While both may include repetitive movements or sounds, anxiety tics are primarily driven by psychological factors such as stress or anxiety, whereas tics in conditions like Tourette's syndrome have a neurological basis. So I don't know, has anyone in the comments ever experienced anxiety tics? Are they a thing? Maybe in this situation, you could suggest that you might think this person needs a higher level of care, but not in the way that they think they do. Maybe just subtly say that there might be some inconsistencies in what they're saying. Not necessarily that you think they're lying, but what they're saying and doing doesn't really add up with what the disorder is itself. And if they're not receptive to this, it definitely wouldn't be the worst thing to kind of slowly or just cut this person out of your life out of respect for them and yourself. If people don't want help, whether it's for drug addiction or faking a disorder, you cannot change someone's mind. It's best to just let these people figure it out for themselves, offer resources, but, you know, don't fight with them. So maybe just explaining that what they're doing could be wrong and that you're worried. But if they do try to fight with you, it might be better to just drop it because it's not worth it for you and your mental health. Navigating mental health involves self-discovery, self-journey, and acquiring appropriate help. Seeking professional guidance is key to understanding and addressing these concerns appropriately. Have you ever gone through a situation close to this? I would be very interested to hear about that. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're feeling risky, and comment below. Thank you so much. It helps with the algorithm. And thank you so much to each and every one of my members for supporting my efforts on this channel. And to everyone, have a good day, night, whatever the case may be, and peace out.